Hello, superfans, and welcome to Alberta News and Views. Lots going on today. Let's just jump right into it. You've got to see this picture, this photo taken of Justin Trudeau leaving with his parliamentary chair. This photo is from Carlos Osorio. I hope I'm saying this right. He is an incredible Pulitzer Prize finalist freelance photographer. He snapped this photo. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau carries his chair from the House of Commons on Parliament Hill in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada on March 10th, 2025. Where have we seen that face before? Mr. Blackface himself. This right here is the look of a criminal that got away with his crimes. Lying, cheating, stealing. You elect a clown and you will get a circus. This right here is the embodiment of Justin Trudeau. Seriously, it is. He said it was an honor to serve Canadians. Just such a professional. The only thing worse than Justin Trudeau is Jagmeet Singh and his supporters, Liberal supporters. It's ridiculous. Continuing on. Trudeau Media Corp, Red Star Canada Media, is on full attack mode on Pierre Poilievre. They're going after Pierre Poilievre. Listen to this. Pierre Poilievre is going to absolutely decimate Mark Carney in the unscripted debates if they ever actually happen. Anything could happen. Listen to this.
Mr. Poilievre, what economic and diplomatic experience do you have to go up against Donald Trump?
Oh, quite a lot, actually. So I was the Minister of Jobs and Housing in the Harper government, during which time housing cost half as much as it does today. I helped Mr. Harper cut the GST, cut income tax, cut business tax, and balance the budget. Over my time in Parliament, I've been scrutinizing and studying the books on the Public Accounts Committee, the Operations Committee, the Finance Committee. And if you want any proof that my economic ideas are the best, the Liberals are all trying to pretend that they're copying them right before the election. All the big economic questions of the last 5 years, Mark Carney has been wrong and exactly wrong, and I have been right. I said 5 years ago the money printing would cause inflation. He said deflation was on the horizon. I turned out to be right. I said the carbon tax would drive up food prices, and it did. Drove them up 37% faster in Canada than in the United States of America. I was the first parliamentarian to predict that we would have the inflation crisis, while Carney, Freeland, Trudeau, and others were saying that we would not. I was the first one to be, along with my Conservative colleagues, fighting for pipelines. Pipelines now everyone claims that they support after opposing them for the last 10 years. So if Mr. Carney is so smart on economics, how is it that he was so wrong for so long on all of the economic issues? One thing I don't have experience with is taking jobs out of Canada, moving them to the United States, selling out our resource workers to support Middle Eastern resource workers. That's not the kind of experience that I have, but that's not the kind of experience that we want.
I can't stand it when people always throw in my face how educated Mark Carney is, how educated all of these politicians are. It just proves the point that it doesn't matter where they go to school. They're idiots. I would much rather, in 2025, I would much rather just have tradesmen, have honest, hardworking Canadians and Albertans running for leadership roles. Because that's what we need right now. They are boots on the ground, common people, for the people, by the people, we the people. We need to stop electing these ruling class punks that go to these elite schools, join all of these globalist clubs, and they all hang out together. And they are so detached from reality that they are building these nations that we're seeing right now that are ridiculous and they make no sense. The only reason they implement their policy is to benefit themselves. Hence, Mark Carney. He's literally put in the seat by investment groups, by asset management. Why do you think he moved Brookfield out of Canada before he was selected to become prime minister? It truly is astounding. Pierre Poilievre has so much ammo right now against all of the ministers Mark Carney just announced that Marco Mendicino was going to be one of his ministers again. Chief of staff, I think. Anyway, it's ridiculous. Pierre Poilievre has so much ammo. He needs to send out his troops, all of his ministers, to play hardball. They've got so much dirt on all of them, and it's all out in the open. They need to just start blasting Canadians with podcasts, a lot more rallies, a lot more interviews, and like real interviews, street interviews. That is what he needs to win, and not just win. A blue wave is not going to be enough. We need a blue flood, and it needs to be in Quebec and Ontario. People need to know how deep the corruption is with this liberal NDP government. Barely at all today were people saying, yay, Justin Trudeau is gone. Because he's not gone. His legacy is still lingering around because it was never his legacy. He was just a puppet. He was taking orders, probably from Mark Carney, and Mark Carney is taking orders from whichever organization picked the flavor of the day that is telling him what to do, that he's chosen. Continuing on, here's Doug Ford talking about Alberta and Danielle Smith implementing an export tax. Doug Ford has put 25% tariff on electricity, right? He thinks this is going to change the minds of Americans. I don't think it will. It's definitely going to piss off Americans. But they're American. They're not Canadians. Americans don't care about Canada. They don't give a shit. When their bills go up, they're going to say, the first thing they're going to say is, why are we even getting our energy from there? What is this even about? And then they're going to figure out what it is about. The view of Americans is Canada is the buddy that sleeps on your couch, steals your food out of the fridge, and never pays rent, so you have to pay it for them. And then they got used to it. And it's impossible to get them off the couch. But now that you're forcing them off the couch, Canada all of a sudden has a problem. And they're barking. That's where we're at right now. Canada needs to start building and become independent. 40 years ago. Right now, they can talk all they want, especially Doug Ford. He loves talking about we're going to build now. With who and with what? Our dollar is going to tank before that's even possible. And another thing, Canada is packed with American companies and businesses. When Doug Ford starts punishing America, how do you think these American companies in Canada are going to take that? They're going to take offense to it. Maybe they'll scale back production in Canada, start laying people off. It's nasty.
Than anyone else. I think New Brunswick ships some energy, Newfoundland. There's a whole bunch of us that ship energy down to the U.S., and we have to maximize it. And then we have to remember the 4.3 million barrels of oil that's coming from Alberta. As Premier Smith said on her comments, I think over the last couple of days, she has the trump card. Well, message to Premier Smith, one day I think you might have to use that trump card and give approval for an export tax, because you want to talk about a trump card that will instantly change the game. Instantly, when the Americans, and I know the Americans, all of a sudden their gas prices go up 90 to $1 a gallon, they will lose their minds. So we need to at least put that in the window. But I don't direct any of the premiers. I don't direct any of the provinces. It's Team Canada, and that's going to be strictly up to Premier Smith to make that decision or not.
The U.S. economy, I think, is just over $25 trillion, and Canada's is like 1 point some trillion. If Canada didn't exist, the United States would just be fine. They would still be doing their thing. I am just stating the numbers and the facts, okay? And anybody with a rational brain can look at this and know that the United States is a bear and Canada is poking it with a stick. It is Not smart. We need diplomacy always. And right now, Scott Moe and Danielle Smith are in Houston talking with them again to figure it out. Regardless of what your views are, it's going to get worse. Here is Danielle Smith responding to Doug Ford's comments. And Scott Moe says ditto for Saskatchewan on what Danielle Smith says. The best premier in Alberta, or the best premier in Canada. Danielle Smith says, today Premier Doug Ford said one day Alberta might have to give approval for a federal tax on oil and gas headed from Alberta to the United States. I understand our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has mused about the same thing. Let me be clear, Alberta will never agree to such an absurd and self-destructive idea. It's not an option. I'm not going to agree to do something that will cost hundreds of thousands of Albertans their jobs almost overnight. That would be like placing export tariffs on Ontario auto parts. Exactly. Also a bad idea. And this is what Doug Ford never, ever talks about, which is a reality. Like I said, these American companies in Ontario might decide to just put a pause on things until further notice. Just like Doug Ford is doing to the United States with the electricity, with their power. It could get nasty. Imagine if the auto sector just decided to pull out of Ontario because Doug Ford refuses to remove the tariffs that he placed on energy. It's unreal. There are many effective ways that Canada and Alberta can work together to pressure the United States, the U.S. president, to change course on tariffs. That is not one of them, period. Listen to this.
Even if it holds back our response, even if it holds back one of our biggest pieces of leverage?
Bashi, there's no circumstance under which I would agree to another tax on Alberta that takes $40 billion out of Alberta. You can ask me as much as you like. The answer is no.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note. Thanks very much, Premier.
The way I look at it is it's just $40 billion going to Quebec and Ontario anyway. Seriously, I've been watching Alberta just pump out money to somebody else while our infrastructure in this great province just is getting demolished. It's time. All roads lead to Western independence. You get to see glimpses of the real Mark Carney during his speeches. He feels he is above everyone. This is him, all but mocking Canadians on how he managed to avoid having to disclose his assets. This is not a good man. He is a self-serving elitist. And this is exactly what I was talking about with Justin Trudeau carrying his chair out with his tongue sticking out. He got away with it. He did. Mark Carney got away with it. They are the ruling class. They are separate from you and I. It's unreal that people can't see it. Check this out.
Full disclosure. I know the leader of the opposition's into full disclosure, so I'm going to... Full disclosure. Full disclosure. Just want to get this on the table.
See? He's talking of all of his rich buddies. Full disclosure. Oh, yeah, they want us to tell the truth. We don't tell the truth. We know the game. We get out of it free every single time. It's ridiculous. We need a flood. Check this out. This is from Joe Warmington. Pure class in Buffalo. This is the difference. And this is what I mean. This is the difference between the United States and Canada. Keep in mind, this is Buffalo. They're playing the Oilers. The Americans, they don't give a shit about Canada and our stupid little things. They don't. There are no boos in the United States. Not here anyway.
Now the singing about Canada and the Star Spangled Banner, performed tonight by Cammy Clooney.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us come there, with glowing hearts we see.
Canada has mass formation psychosis. Mind control works. Canadians, I don't know what it's going to take to wake them up. I honestly don't. I'll keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. All of you out there, like, share, and take care. Follow me on Substack, Spotify, and YouTube. all roads lead to Western independence.